Oops. Don't want that to come off. Hi, I'm Amy. This is House of Nash Eats, and today we are making sour cream coffee cake. Okay, so we're going to make our streusel by combining our flour, and this is 2.5 cups of regular all-purpose flour with brown sugar and granulated sugar. And I'll leave a link below to the printable recipe so you can have all these measurements. And we're going to do, oh, where's my tablespoon? I'm gonna get a tablespoon. And we're going to do 1.5 tablespoons of ground cinnamon and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we'll whisk that all together. This just helps everything disperse evenly so you don't get clumps in your streusel. I mean, you want clumpy streusel, but you want everything like spread out through your streusel. Okay, and if you've got like chunks of brown sugar, just grab those and break them up. And now we're just going to add 1 cup of melted butter, and I use salted butter. And we're going to stir that together until it forms like a clumpy, sandy kind of texture. And that will be our streusel. Okay, and you're going to think this makes like too much streusel, but it's coffee cake and there's no such thing as too much streusel. Okay, let's put these to the side. Okay, so now we're going to make the cake batter for our sour cream coffee cake, and we're going to start out by creaming together some softened butter, and I always use salted butter. It's 3/4 cup, and we're going to cream that with 1 1/4 cups of granulated sugar. And I'll leave a link below to the recipe that you can print out to follow along. We're going to beat that for about 2 to 3 minutes until it's light and creamy. Okay, so now we're just going to scrape down the bottom of the bowl, and we'll start adding the eggs one at a time and just mix until they're combined, and then we'll also add the vanilla and the sour cream. Okay, I'm gonna stop real quick and scrape down the bottom and sides of my bowl before I add the sour cream, because you can see that there's some butter mixture here that's not totally mixed in, and that's okay. It's going to look kind of curdled right now. It will come together when we add the flour in a bit. Let's just mix that up a little bit before we put the sour cream in there. Now we're going to add 1 cup of sour cream, and it really helps to have room temperature ingredients. So if you think about it, pull your sour cream and your eggs out of the refrigerator about 1/2 hour to an hour before you start baking, and it's going to help everything mix together better, and you'll have cakes that rise more evenly. Now, if you don't have sour cream, I mean, this is a sour cream coffee cake, but you could substitute Greek yogurt and it works great. Okay, now we're going to add our flour, and so we're going to use our spoon and level method again, where we just spoon the flour into our measuring cup. This helps so we don't over measure. And when you're doing a recipe that calls for like 2.5 cups of flour, it's really easy to over measure, and it adds up and accumulates. And so if you have trouble with like cakes turning out dry, sometimes the cause is that you might be over measuring your flour and you didn't even realize. So it's 2.5 cups, and this is just regular all-purpose flour. Okay, and then we've got 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and then 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, and we're just going to mix that together. Don't overmix it. Stop after just a few seconds and scrape down the bottom and sides of the bowl just until the batter comes together. Okay, and you should have a batter that is nice and thick and smooth. Okay, so now I've got a 9x13 pan that I've sprayed with some baking spray. You could also line it with parchment paper. And I'm going to spread about 1/2 of my cake batter into the pan. You could be really exact and measure things out, but I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, that's probably about 1/2. We're just going to spread it out, and it's going to be a thin layer, but there's plenty of baking soda and baking powder to help lift this cake batter, so it will rise quite a bit. So just spread it until it covers the bottom of your pan. Okay, and then I'm gonna get in with my hands, and I'm just going to sprinkle about 1/2 of the streusel over the cake batter. And this is what's going to provide that nice thick ribbon of cinnamon and sugar in the middle of the cake. Now we're just going to repeat with the rest of our batter. It can be hard to spread this across the top, so I kind of dollop it around, and it's okay if some of that cinnamon in the middle shows through. Coffee cake is not like a fancy dessert or thing to eat or make. It's just kind of casual and easy to do and super tasty. So you just kind of dump it in there and it's going to bake up and look just fine. Okay, I'm just going to kind of nudge that around to create sort of an even layer on the top. Okay, and then you just sprinkle the rest of the streusel and it's ready to go into the oven. There we go. I'm gonna pop this in a 350-degree oven for about 50 to 55 minutes until it's done, and you can check it by testing it with like a skewer to make sure it comes out clean in the center or with just a few crumbs on it. Okay, our coffee cake is done and I've let it cool down before I slice it, but it's really hard to wait because it smells so good and it's really, there's like nothing better than eating a slice of warm coffee cake. So now I've got my spatula and I'm going to, let's see, which one has the most streusel? I'm gonna go right here. These are like the hard choices in life, right? Okay, you can see it's got a nice thick ribbon of cinnamon sugar streusel in the middle, and that's the one I'm going to have. Okay, so I am going to take a bite and I'm gonna make sure I get a nice piece with plenty of streusel. It's so good. The sour cream like gives a like almost a dense, really rich flavor to the cake itself, and the thick layer of streusel in the middle and on top is just perfection. This is like the best coffee cake I've ever had. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please be sure to like and subscribe for more great recipes just like this one.